The question of self-worth is probably one that most of us get very perplexed about. If anything, we always fail to interpret it thoroughly because it is quite an abstract and ambiguous term, narratively, despite its very obvious claim and definition. Self-worth is essentially an integral sense of confidence and comfort that we feel with regards to the overall coherence of our own prioritized, general, specific, and unique set of internal and external attributes. Whether it is in regards of the collective congruence of our own abilities, circumstances, behaviors, beliefs, options, achievements, status, possessions, experiences, and even the people that we surround ourselves with. In other words, all the personally necessary elements that generate an immense sense of security within our daily lives. As human beings, we all have our own set of intrinsic and extrinsic motivations, thus allowing them to have a great impact on our behaviors, resource allocation, and decision-making. However, generally, these motives can always change or fluctuate depending on a person's imminent circumstances and priorities at a given moment, even their current emotional needs. That is why it is extremely hard for us to judge what are the things that makes us feel the best and most self-actualizing we can possibly be. One day you may prioritize your material possessions the most, the next day, week, month, or year you may prioritize the people you surround yourselves with the most. For most people, it is constantly changing. That is why we always have a hard time in determining the right attributes and motives to optimally and healthily attach our identities to. Plus, certain attributes and motives are out of your control, as they can come and go as they please, such as your friends and colleagues. Now, most of you gentlemen in the self-improvement world would already know that it is always the wisest and most logical decision to attach yourself significantly more to those attributes and motives that you have full control over, mainly your abilities, achievements, experiences, attitudes, and behaviors or habits, as they always have a positive direct correlation or impact with the amount of efforts and resources you invest into them, especially as a man where the majority of our pride comes through our body of work. However, despite our firm and thorough acknowledgement of this, some of us are still finding it rather hard to commit towards cultivating or improving them to elevate our sense of self-worth, all because of one single phenomenon: doubt. Doubt is simply the feelings of hesitancy due to the fear of uncertainty, and it is very normal for all of us to feel this way before any big commitment and/or risk-taking. We hate the idea of failure, humiliation, ridicule, and further pain and suffering because it will only demoralize us further and prompt us to discredit ourselves even more. However, doubt will also cause the birth of self-sabotage and self-deprecation, as your fear of commitment will result in you attempting to distract yourself away from it for as long as possible. That is why you procrastinate and make excuses along the way for your own lack of significance because you don't even want to act or take chances to turn things around for the better. Eventually, you'll turn everything that you fear a lot worse practically. Now, assuming that at a particular moment before a big commitment, you have a very low to barely average sense of self-worth, in which case your self-worth will entirely depend on these two factors. Number one, your sense of conviction, and number two, your recollection of past successes. Remember, confidence always comes from your assurance and/or reassurance that you can achieve success and/or repeat success. Now, some people just purely have that immense sense of belief in themselves, even though they haven't yet cultivated or achieved anything of significance or value. Some may say that they are entirely delusional. Some may say it's their belief system that has been taught by their parents since their adolescent years, or the one that they've developed themselves as they grow up. Some may say it's their ability to visualize what is technically and physically possible, but regardless of that, it is simply them having an impeccable assurance or reassurance in their own current capabilities or lack of them to do whatever that is necessary in order to eventually succeed in their commitments. Basically, they just wholeheartedly believe that they can succeed despite their suboptimal circumstances. If any of you gentlemen genuinely have this natural enigmatic confidence, I really want to know where you get them from. Now, for the most of us, we fall onto the latter. We don't have that prodigious level of conviction from the get-go. Most of us have to have practical evidences and/or recollection of them to heavily assist us in mustering, convincing, and assuring ourselves of our own capabilities towards any commitment, such as past moments where you quote-unquote rise to the occasion, like performing really well in a football game, getting commended for your public speaking, or getting yourselves out of a sticky situation. Moments of high pressure and high stakes where you're just able to perform with merit and made you currently think, if I was able to do that, which I was initially scared and unsure of, why can't I do it again with this one? I found a way then, I will find a way now. But what about if you don't have any sense of conviction and/or any record of past successes to help you assure yourself? What if you have absolutely no sense of self-worth whatsoever and your mind is only filled with waves and waves of doubt and uncertainty? What should you do then? Well, there is only one way left, and that is to stop thinking, put yourself out there, or get yourself in there and commit yourself entirely. Because your back is completely against the wall and you have absolutely nothing to fall back to. You have absolutely nothing left to rely on other than your last drop of faith in your functionality, which you rarely utilize to its full potential. To viscerally prove yourself by diving deep and constantly adapting and adjusting yourself throughout the commitment, while defying constant doubt simultaneously. In fact, for those of you who did have past moments where you rose to the occasion, I guarantee that you too did not have time to plan, think, or worry and just did it anyway. Because overthinking will only amplify your doubts and let your unnecessarily dire imaginations run wild. The more uncertain you become, the more careless and sloppier you become, thus the more likely you will fail or choke. Commit and give absolutely everything you have. Leave no stones unturned and spare no efforts. Prove to yourself that you can do it, and the level of confidence and eventually security in your own identity will skyrocket. Any insecurities you have will eventually be compensated and overshadowed by your immense level of certainty in your own possibilities. Shift your attitude and narrative towards commitment from "will I make it" or "will everything be worthwhile" into quote-unquote "let's find out." Fill your demeanor with enthusiasm and curiosity instead of skepticism and uncertainty. Succeed or fail, it's a matter for a much later time to worry about. Even if you eventually fail, which I highly doubt you would if you give it absolutely everything you've got, you'll still gain something in the end. Tremendously valuable experience. Self-worth for most of us does not come by itself, just like muscle, intelligence, or anything with valuable integrity. You have to build it over time to eventually justify your capacity, capabilities, flaws, and limitations as a human being. If you're not naturally gifted or born with confidence or taught from an early age how to build confidence and self-worth, stop begging to have it. Stop looking for instant hacks to cope and pretentious masks to wear in front of everyone. Acquire it, build it, and maintain it. Thank you for watching.